It was a tough year. There's no doubt about it. It was a year where we had to start paying for our past expenses, meaning that the Federal Reserve was on a money printing frenzy, which gave us so much extra money in the economy, in the markets. And now was a time where we had to kind of pay the piper. So I think again, it's to understand that that much wealth and that much kind of over expenditure comes at a cost. And I think 2022 was showing us that at this point, we have to tighten our waists. It's going to be a little tougher going forward without the Fed printing all this money.
The year 2022 was challenging as the consequences of past monetary policies, specifically the Federal Reserve's excessive money printing, came to fruition. This led to an abundance of money in the economy and market, but also meant that it was time to face the costs of this overspending. It is important to recognize that this wealth came at a cost and that in 2022, it became clear that in order to move forward, we will have to be more frugal as the Federal Reserve will not continue to print money at the same rate.
Yeah, so I'm more in the camp of it's a bull trap. And I know there's so much excitement out there, but I do caution investors, and I've been through many, many bull markets and bear markets and bull traps and bear traps, that this has the hallmark of making a bear trap or bull trap. And I say that because number one, it was a great rally, but notice where we stalled as of now. This was the beginning of the FTX collapse. And so on a technical basis, this is huge resistance. And we're only back to that point. And I know it seems like a great move. We went from 16,000 and change right up to 21 and change. But if you zoom out on the charts, look at the tiny nature of that bounce. And so to get over exuberant in terms of believing it's a new bull market, I think you have to take a little bit of time here to just see how it trades in the next couple weeks, if you will. So I'm personally in the camp that I think that this is a risk-on environment in January of the new year. I think people think new year, new crypto, new year, stocks can go higher. There's this rebirth at the new of the year where everyone kind of says, okay, the old is done, let's focus on the new. And I think that's creating a lot of these buyers and short squeezes in these stocks. We've seen GameStop, AMC, Bed Bath Beyond rip higher, like 50, 100% moves, very reminiscent of the Wall Street bets runs that they saw in 2021 as well. So I don't see a fundamental shift yet in the underlying key parts to the crypto market or the stock market. And that makes me concerned that, again, it could be a bull trap. So in terms for me, I'm looking at it more like this is a push to sell some of my longs into in crypto versus accumulating and buying, thinking we're going to be at all-time highs in the next, couple months. And think about this, right? Since 2009, which is when the Fed started printing, and by the way, when Bitcoin came into existence, everyone kept on saying, don't fight the Fed. The Fed's printing money, right? So now all of a sudden they stop printing money, markets go down, which is what you would expect. But now people are trying to fight the Fed and saying, well, there's a bottom in. We're going to go back to all-time highs. And so you really have to use the same logic as pre-2022 versus, after 2022. If it wasn't to fight the Fed when they were printing money, well, if they're sucking money out, we shouldn't be trying to fight the Fed as well. This is always the hardest, right? Because, picking bottoms is hard enough to what price is it going to, but then timeframes. And all I can do for myself is say, I think that regulation will be out in the next 6 months. So I think that is going to give us some clarity in terms of, what projects are good projects. Can we see audits on these projects, on these exchanges? That's going to give confidence to investors. And then also looking back, and I look back and I say, okay, well, if FTX was the Lehman Brothers of crypto, and obviously Lehman Brothers occurred in 2008 where that big bank failed and created a kind of a panic in the banking and in the stock market. It took about 6 months for the markets to bottom back in 2008 into 2009, and it dropped the markets about 45%. So if you look at that from where that news came out, it puts us right around 10,000 or 9,000 on Bitcoin, and it tells us maybe May or June as a potential bottom. And obviously, it's so hard to figure out, especially on an asset as young as Bitcoin. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning for a bottom this year, probably in the second quarter of 2023. And then ultimately, I think the regulation will turn out to be an amazingly positive thing for Bitcoin in the second half of the year going into 2024 and the halving. So for me, I'm looking back at this M top, right? So this M top here, we obviously have seen selling here. For me to really get bullish, I would want to see us take out this level right here. So this is obviously what we came down to here. Then we hit it here and we finally broke through. If we could reclaim that level, then I think you have to say we're now closer to the all-time highs than the lows on Bitcoin, and you probably get a pretty successful continuation move back to the highs on Bitcoin around 69,000. So that to me is a real line in the sand. I think in the near term, if you're just watching for momentum, the FTX high psychologically is a big level. As we can see, it's struggling at that level now. But that wouldn't, if we broke above it, that wouldn't make me think, okay, we're now in a bull market. It would just be, okay, that's a good sign of strength for Bitcoin. This upper level would change my mind. If we can get above there and establish ourselves, that would be really impressive.
According to Gareth Soloway, the current bull run in the price of Bitcoin could potentially be a trap, and it is more likely that the price of Bitcoin will head lower in the future due to concerns about the Federal Reserve and a potential recession. Soloway believes that the Fed's monetary policies and the potential for a recession could have a negative impact on the value of Bitcoin. He warns that it is important for investors to be cautious and consider these factors before making any investment decisions in the cryptocurrency market. If you're interested in staying up to date on the current state of the Bitcoin market and the Federal Reserve, it's a great idea to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll have access to all of my latest content, including analysis and predictions from experts. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you will be notified as soon as I upload a new video. Subscribe now and make sure to hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching.